All right, welcome back for the last lecture I'm recording tonight. We're going to talk about strategy. And we're just going to go through, because this is going to be a little bit longer, but this is going to have a lot of direct information that you can apply to your writing that you're going to be turning in. So we're going to be talking about reaching your audience, internally and externally, formally and informally, educational, and not so much. We're not going to spend a lot of time in education, but inspirationally as well. I'm going to talk to you now about educational slides. So a lot of the slides I use are not what I would present in a normal presentation. They're busy, they change, they have a lot of information, but this is a class, so I'm trying to present information to you. So the way we prepare things in education is a lot different than what we would prepare in a business setting. It is a lot of information. I change the slides up a lot to try to subconsciously have your brain have to switch so that you don't fall asleep while listening to me. What I want you to avoid, and I don't have an example here because I don't like even having them around, is what I refer to as doctor slides. And you can do searches for them on YouTube where doctors are presenting. It is just a wall of text, and they stand there and they read their slide. And when we get to presentations and doing live presentations, you will not do that. It shows a lack of knowledge on your part, and they're very boring. No one wants to sit through that. Then there's inspirational presentations, and these are I post a lot of TED Talks, kind of more in that design. We're really kind of going for an emotional grab, a lot more stylistic interpretations, more gimmicks that are more appropriate for that platform. So a lot of what we're talking about is appropriateness. We are going to pay attention to more of the formal stuff because that's what you're going to find more in the workplace, or at least find that if you utilize it in the workplace, you will have the advantage. So if you're presenting and internally, so within your company, to your colleagues, with your bosses, you need to be formal when you are the center of attention. You're the one presenting at a meeting. Or when you're presenting, maybe not necessarily to your supervisor, depending on your relationship with your supervisor, but if you're presenting to your supervisor, you need to be formal. Not so much to kind of show your supervisor up, but really to make your supervisor look good. So again, even though your relationship might be very casual with your supervisor, show respect by showing additional respect to their supervisor and making them look good. Be a reflection. Now, informally, that's going to be your day-to-day, and really dependent on the culture of where you're working. Impromptu. So if someone says, hey, we didn't know someone was going to show up and we need to do a presentation, there's a little more understanding that you aren't correct. However, when I was doing my undergraduate, I always had, I tend to dress formally, so I don't have that issue. I also, when I was even in school, in my car, had a blazer, had a full suit, had dress shoes, a tie, a bottle of water so I could wash my face, sprinkle my hair so I could comb it, and an electric razor with batteries so I could do a quick shave. I was prepared. I still to this day have at least one blazer in my car. And because it was not unheard of to hear that Deloitte was in the building, or having a hard time even thinking EY is in the building. And while everybody was still, because it was very impromptu, go to meet these representatives, I would go to my car, change, and they would always make a comment of like, oh, wow, you're dressed up today. Came prepared for you. I wanted to make sure I was ready for you. So having preparation is always good, and thinking the what ifs of at least having more formal clothing and presentation available in case these things happen. And if you're just meeting with your teams and these are your colleagues and it's laid back, again, that's an informal presentation, and you get to be more relaxed. Now, externally, if you're presenting to clients, government officials, anyone outside of your organization, always be formal. The idea is to take things up a notch. Now, you also want to match the vibe. So, Google has this reputation of being very laid back. So showing up in a three-piece suit, not the best idea, but you kind of want to be a step above of what is acceptable. And we'll talk about that when we will do a section on clothing. It's me shooing my dog. There will, and the difference between business casual, and formal business wear. So if I am going to a place and they are, hey, we don't care, sandals and shorts, I'm wearing khakis and a polo. If there were khakis and polo place, I'm wearing a suit. I'm not entirely sure what the female versions of all that inappropriateness. And when we hit that section, I will have some research done, and I maybe even a guest speaker to come in and present the female perspective on that. So internally with writing, we're going to be very formal with reports and contracts. We're going to be less formal. I really don't like saying informal, but we're going to be less formal with emails. Texts are more of an informal communication. Talking to colleagues, especially the ones you've known, and urgency. So there are going to be times, and you've experienced this with me, when everybody's emailed me at the same time and I just hit the thumbs up reply or something like that. That's the dog. So if there's urgency or your supervisor needs information and so you don't have time to type the long formal memo, they needed to know how much you spent on travel, $900. Then it becomes more acceptable because there is that element of urgency to take care of. Now, externally, very similarly, always, an informal form of communication that we can do externally, though, is handwritten. So if you're handwriting a letter, we want to be less formal because it is more of an intimate communication, more of a personal appeal. So that's when you would still want to be professional, but maybe just be a little more conversational in tone, just a little. Remember, we always want to be a step up from the norm. So kind of in that vein, we want to choose wisely. We can either present a lot of information or make it easily readable. Do we want to use terminology that requires a lot of interpretation? Or are we offering a lot of interpretation that's not necessary? Cats are lovely. Do I need to explain what a cat is? So keep that in mind. Speed of establishing contact. There has been many a time where I just come on an opportunity and I just have to react. So I do not get the opportunity to create the formal connection because there's a job closing and I have 5 minutes. Sometimes we have to just be quickly. The immediacy of feedback. So again, kind of that situation, you get a message, how much I need to know this. I have 5 minutes. You just send the number instead of, oh, I'm sorry that this was late, but I had to format this letter. Send the number. Cost. If it's going to cost you if it's going to take you 3 hours to write a letter, as your supervisor, I just want a quick response. And I want to know how come it takes you to write 3 hours to write a letter. And the amount of information conveyed. So we've talked a lot about the one page maximum. If I need to convey more information, is there value in adding more information? So the 1 page maximum is not an absolute rule, But am I writing to convey necessary information, or am I writing just to write? If something also is going to be of the permanent record, we want to make sure that we take our time to write appropriately, so that we are not a bad reflection within history. And also control over the message. So can I write it in such a way, and we've discussed this a little, like that my signature of writing is available to say I did this, or that you can tell that someone changed what I wrote, and people will know it because they know my brand of writing. So you should also know why you're writing. So are you informing positively or neutrally, informing negatively, or persuading? Those are going to be the main formats we're going to be going over as you're starting your journey in business writing. So the bottom line on top is our direct informative message. And so that's going to be how we start off with that info. I am writing you because. It's going to be your whiffy. It's on top. I'm starting off with that information. And remember, this is for positive or neutral. And we, just to reiterate, we've gone over this. You're going to start off with the framing and format. This is why I'm writing you. The why, the whiffy. This is why you need to read this. And then you're going to forecast. That's your roadmap. You, in your body, you're going to present your key points. And then in your summary, you're going to restate those key points and invite future contact. So we don't want to hide that. We don't just want to be like, I wrote you this letter, I'm done. We want to be, I wrote you this letter, I want you to contact me for more. Now, in our negative presentation, we're going to provide a buffer. We're going to present the bad news with the reasons why. And these reasons are going to be sound reasons. We're going to avoid the emotion. I hate it when you tap your pencil on your desk all day. I hate that you answer the phone with, yo. We're going to be very professional. I believe your presence in the office offers a distraction to other employees that the employees have brought up repeatedly, but we've seen no change. I find your communication style, both internally and externally, inappropriate to convey a standard of professionalism of which we live up to, and you are not living up to. And then you're going to end with a little silver lining. And that gets difficult because we just told someone that they're not good at their job. So there's a movie with George Clooney in it called Up in the Air, where he fires people, and people love being fired by him. It's a good movie to watch. It's just a good movie. And you'll see what I mean about ending with the silver lining and then ending with goodwill. Yeah, I wish you well. You know, we may be thinking we don't like you, but we're going to say, we wish you well. You're going to find greatness in another opportunity. So remember, frame, purpose, forecast. So this should all be very familiar to you. We're going to start off. Remember our perfect paragraph? It just never goes away. We're just going to keep getting better and better and better at it. And so we're going to take a look. You should be familiar as well with this format or even this context. So frame, this email responds to the request of hiring cats for the medical billing team. Purpose, this information will allow you to decide the benefit of your decision. We have a little bit in there, but we're going to forecast. This memo will illustrate the value of cats regarding 1, hygiene, 2, pest control, 3, cost-effective labor. This is your perfect paragraph. It's going to be very hard for you to not do well if you just plug and play this introductory paragraph into your direct informative messaging. Okay, in the body, what we're going to want to do in each section is we want to identify relevant data. Okay, so we don't just want to say Excel is awesome. We want to find out, why is it awesome? Have other people said that it's awesome? So we're gonna start researching. It is gonna be very super important. Here's your idioms for your industry paper, because you're going to do research. you're going to exclude any unnecessary information. So in class, we talked about write your 8 sentences and then go back and eliminate not just words, but it's to kind of force you into thinking what's important and what's not. Yes, Excel is important, great, but did you have to talk about how your grandmother loves Excel? And that may be important, but it might be extraneous and unnecessary. So that might be something we get out. Interpret. Don't just tell me something. Add a little personal recollection to it. This is what I went through with Excel. This is how I learned to love Excel. But also add, data. Forbes 2020 states that Excel is the most useful tool ever. Remember to put your reference, your APA, modified APA into there. Organize in a logical flow. Do not just randomly throw sentences out. Start organizing your thoughts. Think about, should I start with this sentence or follow it with this sentence, or would this other sentence go through? You are now a stage in this class. Not only should you organize your thoughts better, I am going to demand that you organize your thoughts better. I mentioned this in class. The grading is now going to get more difficult. Connect the dots. So connect. All your sentences should have a connection to them. They should not be random. Sentence 3, if I just happen to start there, should make me want to go back and find out what sentence 1 has to say, and sentence 1 should connect to sentence 3. Everything needs to have a purpose. And articulate your findings. Sometimes, especially with more complicated thoughts, you need to be very explicit about what you said, especially when data, like people like to do what we call the data dump. Let me just throw numbers. No, explain what the numbers mean. If you can't explain what the numbers mean because they're too complicated or because they really don't have any significance, get rid of them. It's not necessary information. Do not just throw numbers around to try to sound impressive, because you're going to run into someone who knows numbers and will challenge you on them. And that gets awkward for you, not me. Conclusion. And we went over in class, definitely want to make sure you have this. So the conclusion in a direct informational message should summarize, provide contact information, and close on a personal note. Many of you provided a little extra glimpse into personal information, and I thought it was good. Just I'm going to try harder, or I've learned Excel is more difficult than I thought. That is good. It's a nice closing, kind of ties everything up to a bow, along with the more informative conclusion. So the conclusion of a direct informational. So I'm taking this statement, like your directions, and converting that to what would be a closing. The conclusion of a direct informational message should summarize the information. If you have further questions, please contact me at dsvalas@syr.edu or 520-203-1014. I look forward to your continued professional development. Best regards, sincerely, not with love, not a smiley face, not little hearts. Professional conclusion. All right. Direct. One word. When we are doing our direct informational, be direct. Now that doesn't mean write 3 sentences, but just be clear and concise and make sure what you're offering is value. So direct informational is informational. We're assuming someone just needs this information. So don't clutter it up with a lot of unnecessary stuff. Make sure everything has value. You need to offer value in every sentence to keep the reader going. So everything should have a purpose. Yum sandwich. So we're just going to go over the feedback sandwich a little bit more again, and in a couple of different ways, just so we can get familiar with this again. Okay, remember, alignment is the bread. Approach, it's your lettuce, tomato, cheese. Give that news. That's your big, we described it in classes, the rotten meat. And then realign, add the bread, and then, flare. So, remember that time, or, you kind of slight distraction, but not so much that you're confusing about this is not great news. And maybe I'll bring it up in class. I actually received a denial letter for a grant funding opportunity we had. And both myself and a partner like messaged each other and we're like, did we get denied? Because there was so much fluff and softening and making sure we were okay that it almost sounded like an acceptance letter. Do not make it so nice that the person doesn't realize that something bad is going on. It is negative news. Keep in mind to present the negative news. So, one way to approach this, and this is going to be more in a direct manner, you're going to do your introduction, you're going to establish rapport. So, hey, remember that time that we went to the beach? You like water, I like water. Oh my goodness. But the shark bit your leg off. You don't know this. So there's a really awesome situation where someone is dying on the beach and I took the time to write a letter to them. I do that. And there's no medical staff around and I don't really know how to reattach a leg. So you're going to die. And that's presenting the negative news. Just got to dive in. Thank you for going to the beach with me. Have a good time. By the way, where are your car keys? So because you drove. Now, in the body, you do want, again, remember that letter I received, and I just thought of it, and I should have brought it as an example. Like, it was so confusing, and it was so nice. I thought it could have been an acceptance letter. It really could have. So in your body, be sure you state your reason, and you explain the reason. And remember, we want to be professional. You yell at someone every day. That's the problem. This is an unacceptable behavior professionally. And as indicated in the employee manual, reprimandable. You have received 27 reprimands. At this point, according to the employment manual, you have now been terminated. So I said what the issue is, and I explained the reasoning behind the firing. Remember, conclude with goodwill. You will find opportunities, or just not even trying to fluff it up. We thank you for your time with us. Best regards. I'm going to be using that best regards now. So in an indirect sandwich, so in a situation where a person might be less aware that something's going on, and this is good for your breakup letters. This is what a good way to do that. So establish common ground. And this is also more, I would say, to just, we talked about briefly, like the exploding car. Establish common ground. Hey, I'm trying not to use actual car names. Our car company is called Cargo. You love driving cargo cars. We're Cargo. We make the cars you love. Now, try to avoid however. So the word but is just a contradiction. Think about it when people use it with you. She's so pretty, but he's really smart, but it contradicts what you say. However is just a fancy but. She's so pretty, however, he's so smart, however. So try not to use it in that establish, but establish your reasons. You love your cargo car. We have noticed some mechanical errors within cargo cars. We want to keep you safe. Our cars explode when you drive them. We hope you have a good life, closing with goodwill. So that's extreme, but you want to establish your reasons. We need you to bring in your car. okay? Because our cars are blowing up. We hope you do. So this is more your general, you're not expecting it, but we still have to deliver bad news. And again, make sure you establish reasons and you are clear with the bad news. We have a tendency, we want to soften the blow, but with the example I gave you with the grant denial, like it was so soft, I thought it was an acceptance. And someone else did too. So it just wasn't me. So we're gonna shift a little, and as well as in the class, we're gonna start shifting to presentations. And I know some of you are like, oh no, you're my favorite people. Like I mentioned in class, I love the smell of fear. It's great. It's like breakfast. It's okay. You'll be fine because you're taking this class. And so you're going to learn how to give a really great presentation so that either A, you will no longer feel nervous, or B, use that nervous energy in a positive way to connect with your audience. And we'll talk about that more as we get into details of presentations. Now, the art of persuasion, both in writing and in presentations, we use these Greek terms of ethos, pathos, logos. Ethos is credibility and can run pretty wide. So credibility could mean you have a doctorate in nuclear science, so we're going to listen to you when we're discussing nuclear science. Or it can just be, you know, so-and-so shows up to work every day, they have a good work ethic. So when they talk to us about how to be a good worker, we're going to listen to them because they've demonstrated it. Pathos is pulling on people's emotions. So talking about puppies, connecting stories. I know you're having a hard time with the amount of work, but I went through that as well. I've gone through it. So getting that connective tissue of emotions. And then logos is the logic, is the reason, is the data dump, 35% this, or 1 out of 7 people that. And you don't want to rely too heavily on anyone. You want to combine them all, but you want to learn how to adjust them based on your audiences. So if you are writing to the accounting department, logos might be the way to go. If you're doing a motivational speech, you're going to want to go with pathos. Credibility is always necessary. So we're going to call these triggers. I believe someone refers to them as levers, but these are just things to reach out to get people's attention. So real world events. This is a very powder keg type one though. But if you know your audience, so let's take something controversial like immigration. If you know your audience is very anti-immigration, you can bring up some events that's going to align you with that. If you use it with the wrong event or someone's wrong audience or someone's recording you, that could turn into a lot of problems. But we've talked about pathos and getting that emotion. You can get emotion that way. Grabbing for emotion can backfire and give you the opposite reaction that you may be looking for. So reason, people, even when not using the best arguments, like the thought that they're being presented with reasonable arguments and information. So that's where research comes from. And you'll see it a lot of times. So-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. We want to use quality information. So definitely check where you're getting your information from, because I am one of those annoying people that does read footnotes and goes to see where things come from, because I want to read the next article. I want more information. And if I go to some sketchy website, I'm going to automatically just not believe in your credibility. Resonance, emotional, you know, I started off with my introduction for this class talking about how I too went through the community college system. So I have an idea of what you may be going through because I went through a similar pathway. There's that resonance. I'm aligning myself with you, letting you know that I'm not completely oblivious to what you go through. Redescription. So that's our reframing. So even though I'm going to tell you that your car is going to explode, I may be able to convince you that that's a really great thing. Did you see the last Jackass movie where they were riding an exploding car? Oh my goodness, that was so funny. Your car is going to explode and you'll get to go through that same thing. And that's one of those, you step back and did it work? It worked. Reward. Sometimes you can get people, especially like in live audience situations, I will give someone $5 if they come up on stage and do something, or if you do this. So offering rewards catches people's attention. And then resistance. You want to prepare that not everyone's going to be on board, but you can also prepare for that. So when a lot of times when I do presentations, I'll leave information out intentionally to guide that Q&A session. So knowing I left something out, knowing it's going to be asked because I intentionally asked it or left it out, and having that question ready or the answer ready to that question because I intentionally set it up to be asked, because I know people like to pick things apart. So I'll leave it out. So they'll ask and I'm ready. I'm not doing the, let me think. Can you tell me about the fourth quarter forecast? Yes, the fourth quarter forecast is indicating that we're going to gain a profit at, I was ready for you. I set you up. So these are things that to consider when going through your presentations. So now we're going to start moving into persuasive arguments, and we're going to start off direct persuasive. So direct persuasive is going to start off presenting the request, using a trigger, and then conclude. And our conclusion is going to be a little different. Before with the informatives, we were just saying, hey, if you need more information, get a hold of me. Now we're going to say, I want you to do something. So we're going to present the request. I need money for this project. We're going to go to a trigger. I'm going to convince you with this by reasoning. I'm going to use some pathos because I'm going to remind you of when you started this job and how we didn't have this machine and how horrible your life was. And then I'm going to wrap it up with, hey, I know you're a kind supervisor. You don't want me to go through all that problems. I need you to purchase this machine to make life easier for everyone. Now, as we talk about persuasives, and especially indirect persuasives, a great example of indirect persuasive messaging is going to be your scam emails. So the whole, hey, send me money, I'm a Nigerian prince. Those are great examples. The reason they're great examples is there's a reason they exist. And the reason they exist is because people respond to them sending money. So as ridiculous as they are, they're following this format. Positive attention. I mentioned this when we went over the first revision of the direct informative. You know, the student example had that phrase at the end. Okay, we want that phrase to begin with. So we want the, hey, look at me statement, something. Usually that's something that's going to grab my attention. We call it a fish hook. Why should I read this? And so, have you ever dreamed of being a millionaire? Oh, I have. Okay, tell me more. All right, let's create some interest. Have you ever dreamed of being a millionaire? I have the system that will work for you to be a millionaire. Oh, I am interested now. Anticipate arguments. I get it. Everyone says they have a system to make you a millionaire. But my system has been proven in over 32 countries. Has it? At that point, most people don't pay too much attention. Oh, 32 countries, I'm in. Call to action. But I need you to sign up today because this is a limited time offer. And after Wednesday, you will no longer get to be a millionaire. Don't be the one to miss out. Call to action. I told you, I need you to do something. Again, scam emails are probably one of the best examples of this format. Writing to complete strangers and getting them to do something they probably wasn't even on their roadmap of life of ever doing it. And now we're going to get them to do it. And really, this is going to be our next stage of what we're going to go to. And even in your portfolio, because you're going to have to convince me to take on, after researching your industry, convince me of the project you're going to undertake in that industry. So we're going to look at an example. And that example is the one posted in your syllabus. And we're going to look, this is going to be an example of the feedback sandwich. I will post, again, like I said, one of the best examples of the persuasive is going to be if you look in your scam email, and we'll look at that later. This is the stuff I look at YouTube. Let's go there. But I want you to kind of have a feel as you enter into your breakup letter of an example of what's going on with your feedback sandwich. Now, when I say a letter format, this is the letter format you're going to want to take on. Your address is going to be first, throw the date. Their address is going to be second. So, dear Jordan, okay, remember we're putting these buffers and these layers in, so we're not just jumping in directly with the bad news. I want to buffer this first. So I wanted to thank you for your contributions to our team project. Aw, how nice is that? Why is there a typo in there? Ugh. It's a relief to know you are dedicated to working hard on our collaborations as we both journey through this difficult semester at Eller. Still adding on the buffer. Oh my goodness, you're so great. I want to also point out that that's some fluff. So it's okay to put in some floweriness and fluff, like as you develop your style. I'm not telling you to eliminate all remnants of your humanity. It's okay to have style. Just be succinct about it. I'm sure this started off as like a 5-sentence plan, or I was editing while talking. A 5-sentence, probably even 5 sentences written as one, and I went through some editing. So I'm confident in your efforts. I'm still buffering to provide quality results for the J, that was the organization we were working for, but also for us to maintain our goals of academic excellence. Okay, still all good. Oh my goodness, you have faith in me. I am writing you to discuss the opportunity to achieve that goal at our next presentation. So I'm also framing, look, this is gonna be a benefit to you because we have this presentation coming up and we all wanna do well. I wanna do well. I know you wanna do well. Let's all do well. So I set it up, I framed it. I have some action going on there. We have a goal, you know, kind of hyping them up. Let's do this. Let's go forward. Your component of our presentation provided great information regarding our plans, strengths, and opportunities. We're still going. I'm telling you, Jordan, like you are making these great offers to our team. You also did very well by stepping forward to engage the audience during your presentation. Positive. Like, look at all these great things you're doing. However, your monotone delivery betrayed your genuine care for our project plan. Oh, what just happened? The inclusion of your personal story provided the channel to deliver pathos to the presentation. We just talked about what that was, but your lack of, and that should be affect. So sometimes the editor is incorrect. Did not capitalize on the opportunity. This performance did not capture the charm you displayed during casual encounters. So also look what I'm doing. Like, it's kind of a jerk move. I'm awesome at it though. I'm saying something negative, but I'm rolling it up in something positive. look, you did this thing great. You did this thing very poorly. You did this thing very poorly. And what takes away from that is I know you can do better. Jordan was very charming. He just, when he presented, went into robot mode. So I'm wrapping up that negative saying, look, you did this, you're doing this thing not well, but I know you can do really well at it. His performance didn't capture your charm. He was very charming, just not during presentations. So let me help you out, buddy. Letting your personality shine during formal presentations will form an alignment with your audience. Alignment will evoke positive nonverbal reactions, encouraging you to feel at ease and enjoy your presentation experience, which is all very true. If you're standing there and you have an audience and they're nodding their heads up, down, yes, yes, you're going to feel like you can get through it. And you're going to feel better and present better. Your audience is going to, there's a relationship, and we'll talk about that when we get to presentations. A great presentation forms a relationship. Think about some of the Simon Sinek presentations you see. He forms a relationship, and that's going to be something very important when we get to that. Additionally, your ability to connect with the audience on a personal level through your endearing narrative models the response we seek to elicit from the membership of the J. You have this great ability. We want this organization to have the same ability. Come on, buddy. Come through. Do the deed. Let's all just be awesome. The more comfortable and emotive your presentation delivery becomes will correlate with our team's ability to align the J with our project plan. We need you to do this so they can do this. Set the example. You can take your performance from good to great by allowing the audience to experience the true you. And that's some fluff. And again, that's that pathos. I hyped you up. Let me just switch the tone a little and deliver you some heartfelt, more of a tone. So not so much let's go. I'm talking to you one-on-one. I just want you to listen to me for this sentence and know that I think you're great. All right, so far I framed things, I buffered, I told him how awesome he is. I dropped the bomb on him, but I wrapped that bomb inside a bunch of flowers. And then I went ahead and just didn't say, hey, bruh, you suck. I went, hey, you have this issue, but this is why I want you to work on it, because you have the ability to be so amazing, and we need you to be amazing, and so that we can share with others how amazing you are, so they can be amazing. We're gonna wrap it up. Your team members will work with you to gain the comfort you possess in a casual setting, so you can gain the confidence to relate your charms in formal presentations. I'm not leaving you out to hang out. The team isn't leaving you to hang out. We're going to be there for you. So we're going to I'm dropping these words on you, but we're going to help you. We're asking you to meet with us Sunday afternoons at Eller. There's a request for action. Take your Sunday with us. We're giving up our Sundays. You're giving up your Sundays. Meet with us so we can practice. We will all practice giving presentations, so you're not alone. We're all doing this. We will give you feedback on your progress, and you will find stylistic aspects in our presentations. You're going to do your thing. You're going to see improvement in you. Borrow things from us that you think you can use. Together, we will help each other grow in comfort, skill, and academic progress. Look at the Oxford comma. So still nurturing. All right. I've destroyed you already. I want to rebuild you. So we're not just saying words. I want to provide action. I'm not just asking you for action. I'm providing action. The team is providing action. We're going to meet halfway. Please email me at eromero@email.arizona.edu. Contact information. If you have any more questions to confirm your meeting with us this Sunday, February 26th. So I slipped in a call to action there. I'm reinforcing, we're not just going to meet on Sunday. I want you to confirm that you're going to meet with us on Sunday. Sincerely, best regards, or however you want to order. So that's going to be a style of feedback sandwich to look at and to model. And I want you to feel comfortable with with a feedback sandwich, either in the direct or the indirect model. Just trying to go through it and learning and applying some of those other techniques that we've done in class. So avoiding the we, taking responsibility, showing that you're a part of, and really take a look at that George Clooney movie. The ability to deliver bad news and have people enjoy it is a great skill to employ, and other people will notice it and utilize you if you can develop that skill. So that's our class for today. I really want you to learn. So one, this is how we're gonna format a letter. So when I say a business letter, this is slightly different than a memo. This is a business letter. I want to see this format, and I want you to buffer. I want you to drop the bomb, drop that rotten meat, and then back it up. But if you really, and then offer another buffer and goodwill. But I want you also to take some time in detail to go through this letter to see some of the things that we've done. Like when I dropped the bomb, I wrapped up that bomb in flowers. Like, yeah, your monotone voice has to go, but you're so good at this, and you have the potential for that. So in a business context, yeah, and I know your assignment is to break up with someone, so it's going to be less this way, but in a business context, we want to be professional. Ideally, if we have an employee, we want to build them up. We don't want to just destroy them and watch them continue to fail. We want to deliver this bad news and then be with them side by side to build them up so that they can become what we want them to become, what we need them to become. And even, to go as far as say what the world needs them to be for the good of the community and for the good of themselves. So think about ways and think of it how you would deliver for those of you that have children or taking care of a parent or just someone you love in your life. How would you deliver the bad news? Because it's really easy just to say, and joke, and that's kind of why the assignment is the breakup letter. It's really easy to just to say, you're so cool, but I hate you. It's you, it's not me. But we want to be good supervisors. We want to be good humans. And so to work on saying, I appreciate this thing about you, but you need to work on these items. I think you can get there by doing this stuff. And let me just tell you why I need you to do this stuff, because I think you can be so strong if you go through and make these changes, and just a benefit to yourself, to the business, to the world. That's how we want to think of dropping this bad news. Now it's a little different when we're being vague. And when we are doing the indirect, it's a little bit different because we're talking to the air and to the ether. So direct, definitely want to make that relationship connection. Indirect, you want to make that connection, but it's really hard because you're trying to connect with people you don't know exist, or such a large amount of people that it becomes very difficult to establish a one-on-one relationship with millions of people. So on that one, it does become a little less heartfelt, because and you may have this skill, but it becomes very difficult to be very heartfelt and warm and fuzzy, because when you're speaking to a million people, it comes off as very insincere. And there are people who can pull it off. And if you can, more power to you. But for now, in this breakup letter, I want you to think about these points. It is supposed to be a little fun, so you don't have to be all that humane, but do think about it. Think, especially when you buffer it, what were why, and this is a life thing, why did you start this relationship with this person? What were those good things that made you get into it? So you should have an idea of some good things to say or it's just going to be really awkward saying, hey, I got in this relationship knowing you were a horrible person, but meh. But I'm going to let you work on that. I'll look for it on Sunday. I hope this video was helpful, and it's not as fun without knowing that I'm going to see you guys this Thursday. But you deserve the time off. Enjoy, do awesome things, and I will get to enjoy you come December. Thank you.